Lesson 38 is about ratio problems, and we have proportions here, when one fraction is equal to another fraction. Now our first question tells us to solve this, and what we need to do is we need to figure out what the value of m will be in order to make our fraction on the left equal to our fraction on the right. So when we do this, remember cross products. Cross products are critical here. If we multiply 4 times 5, we know that's 20. So, when we multiply m times 21, we must get an answer of 20. Now, do you know in your head what number times 21 is equal to 20? It's going to have to be a fraction or a decimal. Okay? It's not going to be a whole number answer. So what we can do is we can say 4 times 5 is going to be equal to m times 21, or 21 times m. 21m means multiplication. Well, we know 4 times 5 is 20, so we get 20 is equal to 21m. We want to know what m is, so we have to undo the multiplication of 21 times m. In order to undo multiplication, we have to use division, and we divide by the number that we want to remove. So 21 divided by 21 is 1. We have m left by itself. Then we need to divide by 21 on the other side to balance out our equation. We now have our answer. M must be equal to 20 over 21. We can leave it like this. There's no need to change it into a decimal, and we can't reduce this fraction. We've got our final answer. Let's go ahead and move on to our next ratio problem. Here we have the ratio of pigs to goats in the barnyard was 7 to 5. If there were 91 pigs, how many goats were there? So, the ratio of pigs to goat, we'll call pigs P, we'll call goats G. We've got to be sure we get the pigs in the numerator and goats in the denominator, because that's what it tells us in the beginning, pigs to goats. So the ratio of pigs to goat in the barnyard was 7 to 5. 7 to 5. Now there were 91 pigs. So if there were actually 91 pigs, how many goats were there? So we've got 7 over 5 is equal to 91 over, we're going to call this x. And x is going to tell us the number of goats that there were in the barnyard. We can go ahead and solve this now. Let's box this so we know that that was our original ratio, pigs to goats. We want to use cross products. So we know 5 times 91 is something. 7 times x is the same thing. The way we can set that up is to say 5 times 91 is equal to 7 times x. 5 times 91. Let's go through the math on the side. We've got 5 times 1. That's 5. We've got 5 times 9. That's 45. So we get 455. So we've got 455 is going to be equal to 7x. Now, let's go ahead and undo the multiplication of 7 times x. So we're going to have to divide by 7. We're left with x, and then we're going to have to divide by 7. We can now go ahead and figure out what our answer is. Well, 455 over 7 must be equal to x. Let's go ahead and figure out what that is as a mixed number today. So, 455 divided by 7. Well, 7 goes into 45 6 times. We get 42. When we subtract, we have 3 left over. We bring down our 5. 7 goes into 35 5 times. Got 35 with nothing left. We don't have a mixed number. We've got a whole number answer. So, x is equal to 65. Now before we box this, the question said how many goats were there? So we want to report our answer since this was a word problem with a label. There were 65 goats in the barnyard. Now we know our answer makes sense if we look at the original ratio. 7 pigs is greater than 5 goats. So in our final answer, we better have more pigs than we have goats. We do. We've got 91 pigs, we've got 65 goats. It seems to make sense based on what our original ratio was. Our math works out, we've got the final answer. Lesson practice will be on page 154. Make sure you've got your notes complete, and I'll see you during our next class.